Hello everyone, this is part 2 or 3 depending if we use the Dublin video, Dublin transport video as well. This is transport in the city. Last week we looked at how that is a little bit different maybe in Dublin. We've a few different names, like for the tram here we say the Lewis. We don't really have a metro in Dublin. But we have the Dart, which is probably the closest thing to that. So just moving down, we have some people, and we have to choose the best way for each person below here to travel. So number 1, this is Pedro, and he says, I hate traffic jams. But I don't really like to walk or cycle. I like to travel fast and look out the window at the view. Okay, so in the city, what's the best way for Pedro to travel? Doesn't like traffic jams where all the cars are behind each other and they're sort of stuck. Or he could go, maybe if he wants to look out the window, if there is the tram or the Lewis. The bus is also a possibility. They sometimes have their own bus lane, so they can go a little bit faster in the traffic. But I'm thinking perhaps the best way for him to go would be the Lewis in this case, or the Dart in Dublin if it's just getting around the city. Okay. Annabelle, she says, when I visit a place, I like to travel slowly and see a lot. I like cycling, but it is dangerous when you don't know the city. I also don't like to spend a lot of money. So what is a cheap form of transport when you want to go slowly? Well, I'm thinking here on foot would be very cheap. Another way, I think the tram or the Lewis would be a good way to go because it's generally a little bit cheaper and it's a little bit slower as well. Eric, he says, cities are very crowded, so I don't like to walk to get somewhere. So I think the best way to travel is underground. So underground in a big city like London or Paris, this would be the metro. Okay. And Claudia, she says, I like busy cities. The traffic is usually bad, but I think it's okay when someone else drives. I don't like public transport. So public transport is transport that all the public can use at the same time, like the metro, the tram or the Lewis, as we say here, the bus, the train. So if Claudia doesn't like public transport, maybe she could go by taxi. Okay, that there's not public, it's just her in the taxi. Okay, so when you visit a city, how do you travel around? Or maybe you come from a big city, how do you get around? Maybe you could let me know. Okay, so places to go in a city. So if we go up to Dublin for a day and we want to visit different places, where can we go? So here we are going to match the verbs on the left to the words on the right. Okay, and we're going to make phrases. So the verbs here are visit, look, eat, take, go, buy, and drink. The words on the right, a coffee, a meal, a museum, at paintings, a walk, souvenirs, to a club. Okay, so visit, what do we think? Visit a museum, okay? And in Dublin, we have a few different museums just up here. I'm just going, this is the Natural History Museum in Dublin. It's free to go into, so free admission to all exhibitions. And they have various different exhibitions on in there, all about the wildlife and the plants of Ireland, and then they have mammals of the world. So it's a really fun place to bring the kids as well. Okay, so that is visit a museum. So a lot of the museums are free. Look, look at paintings. Okay, so just up here, I have another gallery in Dublin here. Um, and this here is a painting, an example of a painting that was in the gallery before. So, and here you can go in here, you can look at all of the IMMA, and this is the Irish Museum of Modern Art. So here you can look at paintings. Okay, so that's an example there of look at paintings. Next one here we have eat. Eat a meal. So maybe a coffee, or sorry, eat a meal would be eat dinner or eat lunch, something like that. So a meal would be something more than a sandwich or a snack. Okay, take a walk. So take a walk. So maybe you would take a walk through Phoenix Park. You could take a walk through St. Stephen's Green. Take a walk down Grafton Street. Okay. Here we go to a club. Go to a club. Now this is for night time, and one of the most famous clubs that there is in Dublin is Copperface Jack's nightclub. It's a famous club in Dublin. So this is more like sort of a disco where people go to meet and to dance and to meet other people and drink and all of those things. Okay, so go to a club, certainly for the younger folk. Then we have buy buy souvenirs. Buy souvenirs. What are souvenirs? I'll just go up here. So souvenirs, if you're visiting a city, maybe you want to take something home to give to your friends or family, which is a little um, present that shows that you were in that place. So here, something, a little souvenir from Dublin. Okay. And then the last one here is drink a coffee. So we all like to do that, to go into a coffee place or go for a tea. So drink a coffee or drink a tea. Okay. So when we talk about somewhere we have been, it's in the past simple. Okay. So when we want to talk about something we saw, or an event in the past, we use there was or there were. If it's in the present, we use there is and there are. So we have our singular and we have our plural. So singular in the positive, there was a park. Negative, there wasn't, there was not a castle. Question mark, was there a market? So a meaning one of something singular. Okay, so a park, a castle, a market. Over to the plural in the positive. There were some restaurants. There were some restaurants. Negative. There weren't any shopping centres. Okay, in the negative. Question. Were there any theatres? Were there any theatres? So we have our museums where we can go and look at exhibitions. Theatre is usually where we see the live performance, so people acting or singing on stage. So short answers, yes, there was, or no, there wasn't. Yes, there were, or no, there weren't. We often use there was and there were with a and an, some and any. We use some and any with plural nouns. We use some in positive sentences and any in negative sentences and questions. Some is not an exact number. So for example, Um, in the negative, when we use any, there weren't any shopping centres. There weren't any shopping centres. Okay. And question, were there any theatres? Were there any theatres? Okay. And then some in the positive. Um, there were some restaurants. Okay, so that's just a little grammar example for you there. You can look over and practice that.